Hot take hockey. Hot take hockey.
Welcome, guys. This is John, and this is my 2018 NHL playoff bracket. To start in the Central, first place won the Western Conference, the Nashville Predators. So I think the Preds versus the Colorado Avalanche, despite Nathan MacKinnon's potential heart year, I have to go with the Preds in 5. I think the Preds were 4-0 against the Avalanche this year. I think it's pretty straightforward with this Preds team all the way up and down their lineup. So I have Preds in 5, and then Jets and Minnesota Wild. I see these two teams developing a little bit of a rivalry going on there, second and third in that Central Division. But I do have Jets coming out of that in 7. I think Blake Wheeler, Mark Scheifele, two of those guys are going to be big playoff contenders. You bring in a guy like Paul Stastny, and we have not seen Patrick Laine in the playoffs yet. I think he's going to be a big contributor to that team. And then I think Hellebuck, obviously a step-up year for him. He was in the Vezina conversation early on, but I think he's kind of slowly drifted off. But I think that team is too much for the Wild, who have been a deep team this year. But I still think the Jets take that in 7. And then the surprise team in the Pacific, the Vegas Golden Knights. They face off against the LA Kings. The Kings bringing a guy like Dion Phaneuf. I think we all got our freaking conversations about a guy like Dion Phaneuf. But the Kings, big contributors, big bounce back year from Anze Kopitar. You got a guy like Drew Doughty, and Jonathan Quick is never short of awesome in the playoffs. But despite the Golden Knights' big year, I have to take the LA Kings with experience, with a little more punch for me in 6. So I'm going to take the LA Kings. And then we got the big Cali matchup, the San Jose Sharks facing off against the Anaheim Ducks. I think this one, probably for me, out of the 4 in the West, was probably the one I kind of had to think about a little more, just because you see a team like the San Jose Sharks 2 years ago in the Stanley Cup Final. The Ducks are always there, though. They always make it to, I would say, at least the second round usually. But I think currently with the team we're seeing, the Getzlaf that we're seeing still, and John Gibson and Miller, that tandem, I'm going to have to take the Ducks in 7. So I have the Ducks moving on. They're going to face off against the Kings in the second round, and I have the Preds facing off against the Jets in the second round. And then move on to the East. The Lightning and Devils, Sobalski's Lightning against the Devils. Despite the Devils, from my sources from Sobalski over there in Tampa Bay, the Lightning did not do well against them in the season, but I think the Tampa Bay Lightning is just way too deep. You got Vasilevsky, who did struggle a little bit down the stretch there. I think Vasilevsky will be good in the playoffs, bringing in Ryan McDonough, bringing in JT Miller, Stammer, Kucherov. That team cannot be a first-round exit. They will not be a first-round exit. I'm taking them over the Devils in 6 games. And then the second and third in the Atlantic, my Toronto Maple Leafs against the Boston Bruins. Do not mention 2013. I will mention it here. I'm sure those guys will mention it to me. But I think the Atlantic, I'm going to say this right now, these 3 teams, the Lightning, Bruins, Leafs, I think those 3, I think it's very likely whoever comes out of that side could win the Stanley Cup. You'll understand why I'm saying that. You'll understand my kind of reasoning behind that. But I will take my Toronto Maple Leafs in 7 over the Boston Bruins. I think the tides will turn. I think Game 7 will turn. I think in Boston, the Leafs have more experience. They have an Austin Matthews. They have a Mitch Marner. They have a William Nylander. Those 3 guys don't even care what happened in 2013. They were in elementary or high school at that time. They don't give a crap. So my Toronto Maple Leafs in 7 over the Boston Bruins. And then we go to the Metro Division. That was the maybe not had the best contributors in the season, but was definitely the deepest division this year in the 2017-2018 season. So on top, like I did predict at the start, I think the Washington Capitals are the best in-season team. But I look at that matchup versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. Great defense. You got Bobrovsky and net. Definitely one of the deepest teams up and down their lineup, probably in the East. I know Mitch might argue with me. We're going to talk about that next matchup with the Penguins, but and I will give my reasoning. But I think the Blue Jackets over the Washington Capitals. I'm going to take that in 7. I I think it's going to be tough going into Washington for that 7th game, but I'm going to take the Blue Jackets. And then the last matchup, my last first-round matchup, is the Pittsburgh Penguins against the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm sure Mitch is going to say that they're going to roll them over. I'm going to say in 6. I think this could go to 7, considering Game 6 would be in Philadelphia, but I can't say 5. I can't say 5 for this series because Pittsburgh, Philly has been that matchup. Claude Giroux versus Sidney Crosby. We've seen the brawls happen. We've seen everything happen between those two teams. So I'm going to say Penguins. So then I'm going to start just right there. I'm going to say we're going to start and then make my way back up. So Penguins, Blue Jackets. I'm going to take Penguins in 6. I think the Penguins have the more experience, Crosby, Malkin, Letang. Matt Murray had his struggles towards the end there, but I'm going to say Penguins in 6. And then Leafs, Lightning. Sobalski's not going to be happy to hear this. But this is the one series, as I was making my predictions, if my Leafs can go all the way or something like that, I think this one could go either way. I think whoever comes out of this Leafs-Lightning series could win it all. And I think I'd be very disappointed in myself if I said Lightning. So I'm going to have to go with Leafs in 7. This is a hot take hockey channel that I'm going to go with my Toronto Maple Leafs in 7 over the Tampa Bay Lightning. So a Leafs, Penguins, Eastern Conference Final, me and Mitch possibly battling it out after that Austin-John battle in the semis. And then over to the West, Preds, Jets. The Preds did win in the season series, but I'm going to flip the tides. I'm going to say the Jets, first year in it, is going to beat the Preds, who want that redemption from the Penguins last year. The Jets will go to the Western Conference Final. I think both teams have the forwards, have the defense. I think if you went on paper, Pekka Rinne clearly is the better guy in net over Hellebuck, but playoffs, anything can happen. I think momentum's a big factor, and we're going to see all white in Winnipeg this year once again. So I'm going to take Winnipeg. And then the final series in the Pacific between the Ducks and Kings. I'm going to go with Ducks. Early on in the season, at the start of the season, I said Ducks, Oilers, Western Conference Final. Obviously, that didn't work out for me with the Oilers, but I'm going to stick with my Ducks in the Western Conference Final. And then my Stanley Cup Final. Drum roll, I'm going to have the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Winnipeg Jets. This is probably a little bit of a hot take, but I think the Jets, we've seen it this year. I think a lot of the times we don't see the first place team in a conference come out and go to the Stanley Cup Final. We see it with the Capitals. The Capitals come first over the Penguins, and the Penguins still manage to get to that Stanley Cup Final. So I'm going to take the Leafs over the Penguins just for the fact that the Leafs have done pretty well in the last 2 seasons against them. I think if you take out Crosby and Malkin out of that series somehow, I think really the Leafs depth can take over the Penguins depth. I know Mitch is just probably going to rip on me with that. And then the other side, I think the Jets are definitely better than the Ducks all around. The Ducks kind of, I think, did a little better in the season series, but I'm going to have Jets, Leafs, and I'm going to have to do this because I never pick line over Matthews. My Leafs are going to win the Stanley Cup. I'm just going to say it right here on Hot Take Hockey. I didn't have till 2020, but I see a path this year where the Leafs can do it. I know people are going to argue with me on the channel here, and in the comments, but I'm just going to take my Leafs because I don't think anyone else on this channel is going to do it. I don't think anyone else has the guts to do it. I'm going to pick the Leafs for the 2018 Stanley Cup champions. So that's my predictions. Thanks, guys, for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, and comment on the channel. We're going to be doing a lot of coverage throughout the playoffs, so keep checking out our videos. Comment what you like, comment what you don't like, and every day we'll be getting you guys something. So can't wait to see what happens in the Stanley Cup playoffs of 2018. For myself, John, I got the Leafs winning the cup, hopefully, but I know I'm going to get a lot of criticism with it. Who do you guys have winning the cup? Let us know. And we are very happy to be back on this channel. So subscribe, like, and comment, show the support, and you know we're going to be very active on the channel. All right, guys. Peace out.
This is hot take hockey. Hot take hockey.